Sergeant Travis Mitchell thought he had arrested just another arrogant black man. But within a few hours, his career would collapse, and the entire country would know his name. After all, he hadn't put handcuffs on just any driver. He had arrested the Attorney General. What happened next shocked even the most seasoned observers. But let's start from the very beginning. Sergeant Travis Mitchell lazily stretched in his patrol car, glancing at the deserted road. The shift had been dull, and he was itching for some action. His gaze locked onto a black sedan moving just a little faster than the rest. The driver, a black man in an expensive suit, looked far too confident. Mitchell smirked. He didn't like it when they acted as if the law didn't apply to them. "Got one," he muttered, flipping on his lights. The car obediently pulled over. The driver didn't look nervous, which annoyed Mitchell. He strolled over, rapped on the window. "License and registration." The man handed over his documents without a word. "Is there a problem, officer?" "You were speeding," Mitchell lied. The driver raised an eyebrow. "I was going 35 in a 40 zone." That tone. Mitchell hated it when black men spoke to him like equals. He glanced inside the car. Spotless. No open containers. No drugs. No weapons. "Damn. Step out of the vehicle." "On what grounds?" "Don't make me use force," Mitchell sneered, resting a hand on his cuffs. The man, Adrian Cole, got out. "You're making a mistake, officer." "Oh, I decide what's a mistake and what's not." Mitchell spun him around, twisted his arm, and snapped the cuffs on. "You're under arrest for resisting." Adrian didn't fight back, but as Mitchell looked at him, a strange unease settled in his gut. That gaze, it wasn't fearful, more like assessing. "You'll regret this," Adrian said. Mitchell just laughed and led him toward the patrol car. He had no idea how prophetic those words would soon become. Mitchell led Adrian down the precinct corridor with satisfaction. He loved this moment, the instant someone realized they were in real trouble. "Take a seat, boss," Mitchell said mockingly, shoving Adrian onto a hard chair in the interrogation room. Adrian sat upright, calmly crossing his arms. Unlike most detainees, he showed no anger, no panic. Only his eyes betrayed that he had already calculated something. "Name?" Mitchell asked lazily as he began filling out the report. "Adrian Cole." Mitchell froze for a moment. The name sounded familiar, but he didn't give it much thought. "You act like you're special. Think that fancy suit impresses anyone?" Adrian glanced at him with a faint smirk, but said nothing. That irritated Mitchell. He was used to protests, to pleas for a phone call, to outraged yelling. But this silence, this made him uneasy. "Okay, Mr. Big Shot." Mitchell scoffed and walked over to the duty desk. Officer Grant was at the computer entering the detainee information. Suddenly, he stiffened, his eyes widening as if he had seen a ghost. "Oh, Travis." "What?" "You just arrested the Attorney General." A cold knot formed in Mitchell's stomach. "You're joking." Wordlessly, Grant turned the screen. There, staring back at him, was Adrian Cole's official government photo. Next to it, in bold letters, was his title, Attorney General. Mitchell's stomach churned. Cold sweat broke out on his forehead. "Do you have any idea what you've just done?" Grant hissed. "That man oversees every police officer in this state. He fights corruption and abuse of power. And you just arrested him on a fake charge." Mitchell swallowed hard. Maybe he won't make a big deal out of it. "Are you insane? Look outside." Mitchell turned to the window and felt ice grip his spine. Journalists were already swarming the precinct entrance. Just then, the interrogation room door opened. Adrian walked out, flanked by the lieutenant and the precinct chief. "Officer Mitchell." The prosecutor's voice was calm but carried steel beneath it. "I suggest you find a good lawyer." He pulled a business card from his pocket and casually placed it on the desk beside a stunned Mitchell. "No." Adrian leaned in slightly. "I will definitely be attending your hearing." Mitchell couldn't utter a single word as the man he had so recklessly arrested walked out of the precinct. Cameras flashed. Reporters shouted questions over one another. And in that moment, Mitchell knew his career was over. The courtroom buzzed like a beehive. Journalists filled the rows. Cameras clicked. and spectators whispered, discussing the scandalous case. No one could believe that a mere police officer had arrested the Attorney General. Sergeant Travis Mitchell sat at the defense table, his face flushed with tension. He had been told this was just a formality, but deep down, he knew something was off. The doors swung open, and in walked Adrian Cole, impeccably dressed in a tailored suit. He moved slowly, with dignity, as if he controlled the entire room. His mere presence silenced even the most skeptical onlookers. Mitchell involuntarily tensed as Cole passed by and took his seat at the prosecution's table. Their eyes met. There was no anger in the prosecutor's gaze, just cold calculation. "Court is now in session," the judge announced, stepping into the room. "We are here today for the case of the unlawful arrest of Adrian Cole by Officer Travis Mitchell." Mitchell swallowed hard. Prosecutor Cole stood. "Your Honor, I request that this trial be fully public and transparent. Let the people see how the system works." The judge nodded. "Proceed." The first piece of evidence was the arrest video. The court screen lit up, showing Mitchell demanding that Cole exit the vehicle without cause before slapping handcuffs on him. The journalists murmured. The audience gasped. "Officer Mitchell, you claimed I resisted arrest. Do you see any resistance in this footage?" Cole asked, his gaze fixed on the cop. Mitchell's throat went dry. "Well, not exactly. You fabricated the charges. I was just doing my job," Mitchell blurted out, instantly realizing his mistake. The judge banged the gavel. "Order in the court." Cole continued, his voice unwavering. "The truth is, Sergeant, you are a product of a system that has shielded police misconduct for years. Today, this courtroom isn't just deciding your fate. It's deciding the fate of many who have suffered from injustice." Mitchell clenched his fists but remained silent. An hour later, the judge delivered the ruling. "Officer Mitchell, you are hereby suspended from duty, and a criminal case for abuse of power is being opened against you." Mitchell felt the ground disappear beneath him. He had lost. Without sparing him a glance, Cole stood and exited the courtroom. The scandal was only beginning. 2 weeks had passed since the trial. Sergeant Travis Mitchell sat in his smoke-filled apartment, staring at the TV. "Police scandal, racist arrest of the Attorney General," the anchor announced as his face appeared next to Adrian Cole's. "Son of a," he muttered, reaching for a bottle of whiskey. He thought the system would protect him. But once the case went public, everyone turned away. The next day, his badge no longer worked at the station. "Sergeant, you're suspended," the receptionist said, avoiding his gaze. "You know this is politics. I was just doing my job." Orders from above. "Travis, they want you at headquarters." At headquarters, the police commissioner and lawyers were waiting. "Sergeant Mitchell, you're under internal investigation." Mitchell exhaled sharply. "Because of that damn Cole." The commissioner shook his head. "Not just that. We reviewed your past cases, complaints, violations, video evidence. You drew too much attention. Travis, we can't ignore it anymore. You're throwing me away like garbage. You're toxic now. The police need a new image." Mitchell felt his world collapse. "I've served 20 years and used the system for 20 years. Now it won't protect you." A week later, he was charged with excessive force, false reports, and systematic discrimination. His lawyer was blunt. "Travis, this is serious. Plead guilty. Take a deal. You'll get probation but lose your badge forever." "I won't plead guilty." The lawyer slid a phone across the table. On screen, Mitchell's own voice played. "They're always hiding something. Keep them scared. This is a setup." "No, Travis. Just consequences." The final verdict. The trial was public. Cameras caught every second. Mitchell Saturday, fists clenched, avoiding the crowd's gaze. When the judge entered, everyone stood. "Travis Mitchell, the court finds you guilty on all counts. You're barred from law enforcement and sentenced to 3 years of probation." The crowd murmured. Some clapped. Mitchell stared at the floor. He had lost. But the worst part? Adrian Cole watching him. No anger, no triumph, just cold satisfaction. In the hallway, they met face to face. "Happy now?" Mitchell growled. Cole adjusted his cuffs. Justice has prevailed. Sergeant, go to hell. The system didn't break. Mitchell, it just doesn't work for you anymore. He walked away, leaving Mitchell with his shattered illusions. Outside, reporters celebrated Justice's victory.